Thank you for tuning in to the Simple Sophisticate podcast, the show that is part of the Simply Luxurious Life online destination, cultivating true contentment, the art of living a life of quality over quantity. Visit the blog, The Simply Luxurious Life, at our simplified URL, tsll.co or thesimplyluxuriouslife.com to find the show notes for each podcast episode, as well as much more weekly content to elevate your everyday and deepen your contentment. From a Monday motivational post, recipes, videos of the cooking show series, style and decor inspiration, French and British inspired content, and readers' favorite regular weekly post, This and That, which is posted each Friday morning. Now to today's episode. Welcome to the Simple Sophisticate podcast, where intelligent living is paired with signature style. I'm your host, Shannon Ables. And whether you're listening on your commute, exercising, working in the garden, or sitting down with a hot cup of tea or a café au lait, thank you for tuning in. Let's get started. Welcome to the 325th episode of the Simple Sophisticate. And welcome to spring. For my Northern Hemisphere listeners, spring began yesterday. And fall began in the Southern Hemisphere, a brand new season for us all. Today we're going to talk about just that and how to revel in this new spring season. But before I get to that, I have a petit plaisir for Anglophiles. Last episode, I shared one for Francophiles, and it is high time that we step into the land of all things British. It is a delightful new series I think you'll enjoy. Maybe you already have. I don't know. But I wanted, after seeing the whole season, wanted to share and recommend it to you. As well, I have news about the Simply Luxurious Life's third book, The Road to Le Papillon. I am so excited to share with you as the official release day is tomorrow. But we'll talk about that at the end of today's episode. Let's dive right in to 10 ideas for reveling in the spring season. Let me begin by saying Happy New Year. Well, if we were in any year prior to 1752, this would be the new year beginning. The beginning of the spring season would officially start the new year, or approximately on March 24th or March 25th, depending on where you lived in Europe and how the Julian calendar was used. And while the calendar may have moved to officially begin a new year on January 1st, as we now celebrate it with the Gregorian calendar, why not celebrate the new year of the seasons, which would be right now? I will be doing this most definitely. Spring kicked off officially, as I mentioned earlier, on March 20th, just yesterday in the Northern Hemisphere. And as I worked out in the garden over this weekend, ever so gently, I saw signs of spring definitely beginning to emerge. Over the years here on the blog and the podcast, there have been many posts celebrating the arrival of the spring season. And, well, we all, I think, could be nourished by some brightness of spring right now. So I thought I would share with you another episode for kicking off the spring season with some ideas to really revel in it. So today I'm going to share with you 10 more ideas for reveling in the start of a season that arrives with the buoyant determination to grow, restart, and find the awesomeness that surrounds us all. As I mentioned, I've shared similar episodes and blog topics on starting the spring season well, and I've included those links to those episodes and those posts in the show notes. So if you're looking for oodles and oodles of spring inspiration, be sure to check out thesimplyluxuriouslife.com/podcast 325. Let's dive in. Number 1, meander through the spring blooms. Whether you have spring bulbs rising from the earth in your own garden, a neighborhood or nearby park burgeoning with deciduous trees and perennials near ready to dazzle, or a flower market you can stroll through, make an intention to spend time leisurely gazing and stopping to smell the scents of spring from Mother Nature. While Ben's first blossoms are about 2 to 3 weeks away still, I had the opportunity last week to go to the Willamette Valley and stroll through and around the grounds at McMiniman's Edgefield, where the heliobores, as you'll see in the pictures on the show notes, were absolutely stunning. As too were the camellias, the daffodils, the bluebells, magnolia trees, and so many other spring flowers. I enjoyed doing this specifically this year, but I think as I become more engaged with the spring season as a gardener, more aware of what my own garden does and when certain blossoms come to life, so to speak, I savor this time of year. There is a waking up that's happening. And just to sit and wait for the forsythia, which is the first bloom in my garden, to basically become bedecked in gold. And it stays this way for almost a month. I was amazed last year how long my forsythia stayed yellow and bright. That there's something priceless and seemingly effortless that lifts something inside of us. So wherever you are and whatever access you have, make it a priority to savor this time of year and just slowly wander about. And don't forget to smell that scent. All right, that's number one. Number two, follow this beauty trend. Bring on the blush. I am, as you know, not one for blindly following trends, but when something complements, makes sense, and supports natural beauty rather than is the focal point and distracts from the true beauty, I pay attention. The Wall Street Journal recently shared this past weekend in their off-duty section that statement blush is the makeup of the moment. Floriella Valdesolo speaks to a handful of fashion houses that recently donned ideas on the runway for applying the emphasis on well-tended to cheeks. And I could not agree more. In fact, the power of blush can do so much more than a good lip when applied well for our particular face shape. In fact, the effect is entirely opposite, as its purpose is to add a flush, a radiance, and the appearance of good health. I shared last year with top-tier members that I transitioned from a powder blush to a cream blush, and I have not looked back. I still use the same brand and shade, but having a cream base rather than powder adds more radiance and brightness to my skin, I've found, and especially since I live in a very arid climate, that is definitely something I want as it lasts longer throughout the day. So why not let blush bring your best face forward? As a result, I am focusing more on my blush. I have been wearing eyeliner less often, putting on a nude-ish lip, mascara on the eyes, and a bit of Dr. Strum's Glow Drops, and that's it. Of course, I put sunscreen on too if I'm going to be outside, but that's it. I'm wearing less makeup than I ever have. Not that I ever wore a lot of makeup, but I used to always dependably wear eyeliner, and that's something that I'm realizing I don't need as much because my skin glows more. I'm taking care of it even better than I used to, and if you're interested in exploring more of a beauty-focused post, check out a post I shared in February called An Investment Worth Making Smart Skincare in My 40s. I detail everything I'm using because over the last year or so, I've really started to focus more on that component, skin, even more so than my wardrobe, I would argue, and definitely more than my makeup. And I detail everything that I've learned and what I've done and all the products, and they're all linkable. So that link is on the show notes with regards to the skincare that I use now. So number two is consider focusing more on using blush. And I've linked the article that appeared in the Wall Street Journal so you can see the ideas of how to apply. They share 3 different ways. All of them, of course, are on the runway, so they're going to be more drastic, more woo. But the art form, where you place it, is something you could definitely use for every day. Number 3, prep the garden. Be inspired and watch Gardener's World. So I mentioned at the top of the episode that I was out in the garden this weekend and I thatched the lawn, aerated it, fertilized it. I don't have a big lawn, but I do have a small area of grass for my pups, my Norman and Mr. Oscar, until recently. And I try to take as good of care of it as I can. And the beauty of thatching and aerating a small space is that while it's exhausting work, because I do it manually, it is a small space. And so it took me maybe 2 hours to do that. I got a wonderful workout, my body right now is aching, my shoulders and my arms and my legs, my hamstrings. But while knowing I received a good workout was fantastic, what was even more exhilarating was knowing that when spring rains come, and they will be coming soon, my lawn will be ready to just spring forth. And it always seems to happen overnight, right? I mean, it just comes very quickly. All of a sudden you look outside and the grass is green and you think, whoa. And it's nice to know that it's all ready to go. So all the extra leaves are gone. Like I said, the aerating happened. So it's able to breathe. And while a physically laborious job, I only do it once a year. So it's not something that is too taxing or too hard to do. And it's usually one of the first times that I'm out in the garden for the season for a long duration. And I love that because it really seems to kick off the season, kick off the garden year. Norman loves it because he's outside for a long time and he just wanders around while I do this. And then the birds, they just provided this wonderful bird song that inspired me to keep digging and thatching and pulling that thatch rake, and almost as though they were saying, "You're almost done. You've got it." Of course, I'm sure they really could care less what I was doing, but that's what I was telling myself that they were doing. They were my little cheerleading squad over there at the Bird Cafe. Anyway, it was just a lot of fun. And I mentioned Gardener's World in this bullet point. So number 3, I mentioned watch Gardener's World because while I have shared I enjoy this program quite a bit on the blog, and this is a show that airs on BBC Two. Also, I watch it through BritBox. I haven't really mentioned it too much on the podcast, and so I wanted to share it here because it really sets an inspiring tone that when you watch each episode, there's one every Friday beginning when spring begins and ending in late October, you just want to get up and get outside and begin to savor being out in the garden and nurturing what can come forth to do so in its own time. And I wrote a post about this last year about, while even if you're not a gardener, I highly recommend checking out this program. And I linked to that post on today's show notes if you want to check it out. That's number 3. Be inspired, get up, get out in the garden. And the most of the work in the garden for the beauty we love so much happens right now. And then you can enjoy your summer, sitting out on your porch and your deck, inviting friends and family over, just starting the day looking out at your garden, all the work you've put in the spring. It's quite a sweet treat that you give yourself. All right, speaking of the garden, one more thing I want to share. Number 4 is consider adding a bird bath to your garden. If you have the space, and you really do not need to have much because you don't need to have a traditional bird bath that's up on a stand. You could have just a big cement bowl or any kind of style of bowl placed somewhere where your birds can access it. I highly recommend doing so. This spring, I did just that, something that I have noticed my birds have been looking for after or while they are dining at my 2 bird cafes over the previous 2.5 years, and I placed mine in my sunshine garden. So I've named all the different, I don't have a lot of property, but I have little small spaces around my garden, and I've really tried to thoughtfully name them to give them a theme, but also a focus. And in my sunshine garden, which I originally named it, I've also thought about naming it the Bird Garden because it's where one of my busiest bird cafes is. And it's also where I am going to start meditating in the morning because it's protected from the sidewalk and the morning sun hits that space most softly and beautifully in the morning. And it's just right there. And so I've thought about naming it that. That doesn't matter about the bird bath. So I'm off track here. But after months of searching for my bird bath that I wanted, I found exactly the style and size that would work in this space. Now I had to save up for it, so it took some time. But once I purchased it in January, it took 7 to 10 weeks for it to be made and then shipped, and it just arrived this past week. And I was amazed that it didn't take more than a day before my birds were flying back and forth from the bird feeder to the water bowl. They would perch themselves up on the edge and they would lean over and drink and then fly back to the bird cafe to get another bite. I was just delighted. I mean, I can sit in my reading nook chair and just watch my birds for so long. I love it. I will share a video of my bird bath in April's a couple moments, so be sure to explore becoming a top tier member. And I'll continue to share videos and pictures of my bird bath and the garden ideas I'm considering with regards to plants around this particular space. But if you're wondering where I got my bird bath, I've linked that on the show notes. I got it from Birdsall and Company. They have endless styles, sizes, and finishes. So really, the sky's the limit. Just be prepared to be patient. Like I said, it takes 7 to 10 days for delivery, but it really is worth it. This is a high quality bird bath. It's sturdy, it's heavy, and it just looks natural in the particular space that I have it. So that's number 4. Consider adding a bird bath to your garden. Number 5, bring some daffodils into the home. I think in every single spring post, I've shared this particular item, but it's worth being reminded of because daffodils are so evanescent. It'll be another 12 months before we see them again. And, whether you have them in your yard, which mine are just now popping out of the ground, they're almost ready to bloom, but not quite. They've been in the markets, the grocery markets, since the end of January, at least here in Bend. I picked mine up at Trader Joe's. They're about $1.29 a bundle of quite a few. It's very inexpensive. So be sure to bring one bouquet into your home, because they're not going to be available for much longer. And they really do. I share a picture of the bouquet I have in my house right now. They just add a pop of sunshine when our gardens haven't quite begun to wake up entirely yet. They add that reminder that the spring will happen, and it's almost here. It does bring some sunshine to the house. So that's number 5. Now I have 5 more ideas for reveling in the spring season, but I want to introduce you first to 2 sponsors for today's episode. I'll be right back in 2 minutes. While looking beautiful feels great, knowing the products we use on our skin are thoughtfully made makes us feel even better. Thrive Cosmetics is a certified 100% vegan and cruelty-free company. No parabens, no sulfates, no phthalates. Thrive Cosmetics. Cos is in the name for a reason. Every purchase supports organizations that help women thrive. I've been using their ultra-lengthening, eye-opening mascara. It doesn't clump, it doesn't smudge, which is most important to me, which is what I most am looking for, and it doesn't flake. I carry this with me in my purse throughout the day whenever I need a touch-up and as I begin the day to get the day started. They also make skincare products. Their Overnight Sensation Brightening Sleep Mask is a potent skin-loving formula that restores, hydrates, and rejuvenates your skin overnight. Antioxidant-packed, spa-inspiring, this overnight mask smooths, brightens, and hydrates your skin. Thrive Cosmetics has a mission, partnering with Bigger Than Beauty. For every product purchase, Thrive Cosmetics donates to help women thrive, helping women emerge from homelessness, surviving domestic abuse, fighting cancer, and more. As a Simple Sophisticate listener, now is a great time to try Thrive Cosmetics for yourself. Right now, you can get 15% off your first order when you visit thrivecosmetics.com/sophisticate. That's Thrive Cosmetics, CAUSEMETICS.com/sophisticate for 15% off your first order. Bombas' mission is simple. Make the most comfortable clothes ever and match every item sold with an equal item donated. So when you buy Bombas, you are also giving to someone in need. Bombas designed their socks, shirts, and underwear to be the clothes you can't wait to put on every day. Everything they make is soft, seamless, tagless, and has a luxuriously cozy feel. Bombas t-shirts are made with thoughtfully designed features like invisible seams, soft fabrics, and the perfect weight so they hang just right. And did you know that socks, underwear, and t-shirts are the 3 most requested clothing items at homeless shelters? That's why Bombas donates 1 for every item you buy. Go to bombas.com/sophisticate and get 20% off your first purchase. That's Bombas, BOMBAS.com/sophisticate for 20% off. Bombas.com/sophisticate. Welcome back. We have 5 more ideas for reveling in the spring season, and we're going to get right back into this list. Number 6. It is a new season, so why not consider a new approach to your work schedule? Now, I was reading an article that inspired this particular point, especially since we're coming out of the worst part of the pandemic. It's not entirely over for everyone, but a lot of regulations have started to lift. There are a lot of options now available, not mandates. And so things are starting to shift in the workplace. Not in all places. While I know not everyone has the luxury of tweaking their work schedule, especially school teachers and administrators, most definitely not, there are a lot of companies that are reassessing what sort of working schedule provides the best work out of their workers and for their workers. But even if you do not have control over your work schedule, I want you to be encouraged or just nudged into exploring what your individual chronotype is. Now, you may be saying, what the heck is a chronotype? Your chronotype, as Emily Labor Warren defines in the article I mentioned, it was shared just recently in a New York Times article about how the next pillar to drop needs to be this 9-to-5 workday. And I've linked to the definition, the medical definition of what chronotype is. But her layman term definition is that it is your internal timer that governs when you naturally fall asleep and when you are most alert. Daniel H. Pink also addresses this, and I've actually talked about it here on the podcast. He wrote the book When. His most recent book, however, you may have heard, is about regret. But his other book that was released about 4 years ago is titled just When, W-H-E-N. And he too addresses the importance of self-knowledge about how you physiologically best move through your day. And he suggests that it is vital for constructing a daily schedule that works with your body and mind's natural rhythms. So for your rest, your peak creativity, your focus, etc. When we know the ebbs and flows of our energy and we stop fighting it, our lives improve. And here is an interesting and also important fact to note. When we do honor our body's rhythms, it will change from season to season, week to week, month to month. What I mean by that, and there's a great analogy in the article I've linked in the New York Times that's talking about chickens and the chickens that are cared for organically and they're honored, their body clocks and their molting season is honored. They actually produce the best eggs. Even though there's a duration where they may not produce any eggs at all, it's worth waiting to let them go through that process naturally because the quality of eggs are going to be more flavorful. Same too with us. I want you to kind of think about it in the lens of maybe you have a big project coming up and you're putting all your focus and energy. You love this project. You're passionate about it. You're okay. And you don't even have to be told to work on this project. It might be a home project. It might be a work project, but you do it. When the project is done, you are mentally, perhaps physically fatigued, and you need more time than you normally would ask for, your body would ask for, to rest, to sleep longer, to do less in your regular schedule. You may initially go, wait a second, I created a daily schedule based on my chronotype. This doesn't fit. But this is the whole point. You need to honor your seasons, your week, monthly seasons. What is your body asking for? And give that to it. So it's not just creating one daily schedule and forever sticking to that. It is really being self-aware and honoring what you need. So that self-awareness, knowledge of your physiological needs, honoring said needs leads to our ability to communicate and guard what we need with those that we work with and live with, but also then to be our best work and life selves. So explore this idea of chronotype. It does exist and it's unique to each of us and it can change as we grow. So if you're going through adolescence, then you go through different periods and chapters in your life, different things will cause that chronotype to change. But there is, a very clear, concrete, almost set in each of us that doesn't change too much. So that early riser, that night owl, those things sometimes just really are permanent. And it's important for you to honor that because each of us finds that time to do our best work at different times. We just need to figure out what that is because there is a time. Okay, that's number 6. Number 7, save money, make more deliciousness, and add more beauty to your summer days by sowing seeds now. So a few weeks ago, I stepped into my garage where I have a small area for my potting table, and I've included a picture of my potting table on the show notes as well. There's a link to a full tour of that space. And I gave it a good spring clean and organized it, set up my growing lights. And I sowed my sweet peas. That was a couple weeks ago. I just saw the seeds. I just saw the seedlings popping through the soil today. I was so excited to see that. There's nothing more, I don't know, you can probably hear it in my voice, a smile when I saw that this morning. I was like, whoa, such a happy moment. Anyway, now what I'm going to be doing is sowing the seeds for the herbs that I cannot find in plant form at the local nurseries. However, I will say growing all of my herbs from seed is the best way to go. It saves so much money, and it's possible. And sowing seeds is so simple. I used to be so intimidated by sowing seeds, but it really is absolutely doable no matter how novice of a gardener you are. And I consider myself very novice. There's always going to be a few seeds that don't pop up. That's for any gardener, no matter how expert they are. But most of them will pop up as long as you put it in non-fertilized soil and as long as you water it and give it the right amount of heat. You're going to be fine. So, in fact, over the winter, I grew an herb from seed that I never find anywhere around here except for the seeds are available online. It's French parsley, so chervil. And I grew that in the winter and I kept it inside and it grew wonderfully. And I've been adding it to my eggs in the morning. Every morning I have 2 eggs. And it was just nice to have a bit of the garden in the winter when nothing else was growing. I will also be growing nasturtiums, which are edible, but I use them for putting them in my pots and edging some of my boulevards. I'm going to be growing traditional and trailing nasturtiums, as well as cosmos for the boulevard to hopefully pair with the dahlias. That will be a new addition to Le Papillon's garden this year. Now, those are a few of the seeds I'll be sowing. Again, save so much money rather than buying them in plant form later into the spring or in the summer. You just need to start it now because they need time to germinate, number one. Number two, to then grow and mature so you can put them outside. Now, you may be wondering, what else do you grow and when do you plant and all this fun stuff? I would highly recommend checking out my new book, The Road to Le Papillon, because along with each of the daily meditation entries, I also share, beginning in January and running all the way through December, what I do in my garden, when I sow what, when I transplant certain things, what exactly I grow. And like I said, I don't have a big space, but I so love gardening, and I really have certain things that do well. So that's also what's fun, is figuring out what does well. And if you sow them from seed, you really can grow quite a bit. So that's number 7, save money, make more deliciousness, and add more beauty to your summer days by sowing seeds now. Number 8, start a good habit. Here it is. Add 1 fresh green salad with homemade vinaigrette to your diet each day. So I remember, speaking of Gardener's World, I remember Monty Don mentioning this in one of the episodes in last year's season of the Gardener's World. And I took note. He enjoys 1 salad at least every day with greens he has grown year-round. Now, I don't have my own fresh lettuce growing in the garden year-round, but it certainly sparked something for me. And I said, oh my gosh, how simple and how delicious. Why not? After all, when those fresh greens are available, whether in your garden or at the farmer's market, which will be soon, what a delicious treat it will be to enjoy those greens. And knowing how, because you've been doing it throughout the entire year, to make your simple vinaigrette, to add simple ingredients to pump up the flavor, this is really a simple habit, and it's nourishing, it's filling, and it's delicious. For now, since if you're like me, I don't grow it in the garden, so it's not there. I mean, I don't have it in the garden right now, and our markets don't open till May. Select your favorite lettuce. I've been choosing spinach recently, but I'm always curious to try others. But I also add a little bit, not a lot, a little bit of microgreens. And currently I've been adding micro arugula, so it adds a little subtle peppery zing. Then I add my vinaigrette, which is simply EVOO, so extra virgin olive oil, balsamic vinegar, the best you can find of both of those, freshly ground pepper, and just a dab of French Dijon mustard. That's all I use for my vinaigrette. It's so simple. I have all the ingredients right there by my stove because I use it so frequently. Then I add a favorite vegetable. Currently, I've been adding an English cucumber, but you can also add whatever vegetable you most prefer. Just keep it readily on hand so it's easy to do. You might want to add some cheese on a special occasion or some nuts and toss it. There you go. Protein can be added to punch it up if you want more. But it's so simple to make. It's delicious. And for me, it's a perfect way to calm the middle of my day slow down because I make it, and it doesn't make a big mess in the kitchen because I work from home. Anyway, I've started to do that, and it's a habit I want to keep going because I know as soon as those markets open up and my garden starts to grow, I'm going to have some even better deliciousness in those salads. So anyway, just an idea to consider how to revel in the spring season. Number 9, let's talk about style. Note what would complete your spring wardrobe and invest wisely now. As I shared a few items I have recently added to my spring wardrobe in this past weekend's Saturday Ponderings post with top tier members, now is actually a really good time to know what you need to fill the gaps because the spring collections are fully in stock because they've just been released. And so you can find your sizes. You can, if you find the style you love, you're going to be able to find that size that you want. And you do also have a bit of time to think about it, to look at your budget, to wait to find a promo code, or sometimes they have a jump start to the season sale, and you can use that promo code to get a discount on a brand new item, a brand new, new collection, which is what I've been doing recently. I'll just give you an example. I shopped at Cause over the weekend. I do enjoy shopping this particular online shopping store, and I was able to save just 15%, but still it's 15%. I knew what I was looking for, so I purchased a couple of items, and it was just something that was on my list. I waited a few weeks, actually, about a month actually, because I organized my spring capsule wardrobe in May, and I just waited. And I waited until I really knew what I wanted, and I was able to get the sizes and the colors that I wanted. So now is a great time to start really thinking about that, even though it may not be warm enough weather to wear these clothes. Those clothes are out there waiting for you to find them, and pretty soon they'll be gone. I will also remind you that on April 1st, as I always do, I'll be sharing the annual spring shopping guide here on the blog, so be sure to stop by. I do a lot of shopping for you, so you can directly go to those links and those items and pick out what you want. That's on April 1st. So that's number 9. Note what would complete your spring wardrobe and invest wisely now. All right, last but not least, number 10 is plan a short getaway. It need not be immediately, because I know some of us are still easing into, getting out in the world like we used to. And it doesn't have to be far away. But if you are accustomed to traveling, meaning pre-pandemic, you were an avid traveler, short distances or long distances, short time period or long time period, getting away now or soon and doing or seeing or experiencing something that has been tickling your curiosity is a muscle that, dare I say, needs to be stretched. And I say this because last week I experienced just a one-night getaway, lovely accommodations, and it reminded me that traveling well is a bit of a muscle. And no matter how much we love to travel, we may have become more set in our ways than we realize, especially if we're someone who enjoys being at our house. I know not all of us do, but I am someone who enjoys being at my house. I've created all sorts of routines. I enjoy my neighborhood, but I also love traveling. And so I appreciated this short test run of sorts because later in the spring, I'm going to be going to Europe for more than just one night, as we would imagine. And I didn't really realize that my muscle needed to be toned, and it did. Because I don't want to get in my own way of enjoying this trip that I have been waiting so long to go on because my travel muscle needed a bit more toning. So just a suggestion to start thinking about dabbling. If you were a little bit hesitant, put it off a little bit longer, but it's definitely something to kind of break the ice. Just do a short one-night getaway and see how it goes and remind yourself why you love it, but also how to do it well so you can fully savor it. And this may just be me. It might just be, but I was really shocked. I was like, whoa, okay, Shannon, here we go. You love this. I mean, I was reveling because what I was doing was traveling up to Seattle to get my global entry pass. That's the closest office we have here in the Pacific Northwest. There's nothing in Oregon. So that's a 6-mile trek up. So we went to Portland first, stayed there, and then went up and then came back. So that's why the overnight. But I was reveling in just watching the planes taking off from the runway. I mean, literally gawking, just watching. I was loving the noise of the planes. The escalators and the travel ticket line. I mean, all these little details, I was just soaking them up. Yeah, I was so exhausted by the end of that trip. And anyway, it was a beautiful reminder that something we took for granted, or maybe I took for granted, that we do well, needs a little toning. So that's number 10. All right. Perhaps this spring more than any other in recent memory feels most viscerally powerful for starting anew, taking a deep breath and grounding ourselves in the awesome everyday life we love living, whether we wish to rev back up or keep our lives at a slower pace. I know while I am excited to travel again, I am also excited to just savor spring in the garden, savor a more leisurely everyday routine, and take in the beauty of life and opportunities to engage with the community I live in a more human-to-human way than we have been able to do in the past 2 years. Such seemingly small acts, but now more than ever before, perhaps such gifts to truly and deeply savor. If you would like more inspiration for reveling in the new season, that is spring, check out the 4 posts and episodes that I have included on the show notes, thesimplyluxuriouslife.com/podcast325. And I hope you have a wonderful start to this new season and many moments to savor. But we're not done yet. No. I've got a petit plaisir for you. I'll be right back after these 2 sponsors. I'll be right back here in 2 minutes. If you are looking for thicker, fuller hair and are looking for a noticeable difference every time you look in the mirror, look no further than Vegamore. Vegamore is a transformative 100% vegan and takes a clean, holistic approach to hair health that leverages small botanicals clinically proven to promote visibly thicker, fuller, longer looking hair. Vegamore products are an essential part of a daily healthy hair care routine. I too noticed an improved difference when I used GRO Revitalizing Shampoo and Conditioner Kit, Grow or Grow Plus Serum, as my hair looked fuller and felt fuller too. Easily integratable into your daily routine, all Vegamore products are 100% vegan and cruelty-free and never contain parabens or hormones. Vegamore has something for everyone looking to improve their hair health. They help give you back healthy, beautiful hair, and best of all, Vegamore has a 90-day money-back guarantee. And even better, 91% of customers say they saw visibly thicker hair with Vegamore in just 3 months of use. As a Simple Sophisticate listener, you have the opportunity to try risk-free Vegamore for 90 days. Go to vegamore.com/sophisticate and use the promo code Sophisticate to save 20% off your first order. That's vegamore.com/sophisticate. Then use code Sophisticate to save 20% at vegamore.com/sophisticate. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp Online Therapy. A lot of us will drop anything to go help someone we care about. We'll go out of our way to treat other people well, but how often do we give ourselves the same treatment? This month, BetterHelp Online Therapy wants to remind you that you matter just as much as everyone else does, and therapy is a great way to make sure you show up for yourself. I personally can say that I have benefited from seeing a counselor. She has enabled me to do just that. Honor my true self, figure out what direction I want to go in my life, and then help me build the skills necessary to live the life I want to live, to engage with the world the way I want to engage. BetterHelp is online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist, so you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. It's much more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can be matched with a therapist in under 48 hours. Give it a try and see why over 2 million people have used BetterHelp Online Therapy. As a Simple Sophisticate listener, and this show being sponsored by BetterHelp, you, the listener, will receive 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/simple. That's BetterHelp, BetterHelp.com/simple for 10% off your first month. Welcome back. This week's Petit Plaisir is Sister Boniface Mysteries on BritBox. It involves intelligence, it involves a retro setting, it involves wit, and it involves the English countryside. So BritBox introduced this new cozy mystery series, which is a spin-off from Father Brown, Sister Boniface Mysteries, back in February, so not that long ago, and it is quite fun. I'll be sharing the trailer here in a second, but let me give you just a bit of a roundup of what this series is all about. Now, I will admit, I like a lot of British mysteries, cozy mysteries, but Father Brown just never clicked with me. It's a great show. I've seen bits and pieces of it. It just, for whatever reason, that's just me. But I did gravitate toward Sister Boniface Mysteries, and I think I know why. Sister Boniface, as her name suggests, is a nun, but prior to taking her vows to the church, she was a highly trained and desirable recruit for Britain's MI5 intelligence agency, but turned down their job offer. The local chief constable laments that while a wonderful unofficial detective and consult to the small town of Great Slaughter, he believes she is wasting her intellect. Set in 1960, Sister Boniface is a Vespa-driving, wine-making nun at St. Vincent's Convent. And as the final episode of this first season, there's 10 episodes in this first season, concludes, it becomes indirectly clear why she may have chosen to share her sleuthing talents with this small English town rather than work in London. Now, 2 episodes were released each Tuesday when the series premiered in February, and I do hope a second season is in the works. Lorna Watson stars as Sister Boniface, and she was a character reprised from a favorite episode in season 1 of Father Brown. I've linked to the detail information about that particular episode and why they wanted to bring her back or create a show for her, basically. Max Brown stars as the young gentleman detective Inspector Sam Gillespie. Jerry Ewu stars as the young detective awaiting his job in London at MI5 to become available as Detective Sergeant Felix Livingstone. Amy Medcalf stars as Constable Peggy Button, a young, well-meaning newbie in the policing field, and Miranda Raisin from Vexed, if you've watched that series, she was in season 2, stars as Ruth Penny, the lead journalist for the local newspaper. Here is the trailer for the Sister Boniface Mysteries.
Sister Boniface, at your service. We'd best get started. The victim suffered blunt trauma to the cranium, no other wounds.
Thickening the plot.
We have a visitor here today, Father Brown.
A second pair of eyes wouldn't hurt.
Genius. There are blood traces.
Drum roll, please.
The murder weapon.
Must you look so pleased with yourself?
Yes. How about I tell you all the gory details over a nice cup of tea?
I can think of nothing more enjoyable.
We make the wine at the convent.
That's the aftertaste, is it? Guilt?
Is it true your father's been arrested?
You're barking up the wrong tree, Inspector.
I don't suppose you'll ever find out who did it.
Fear not, we'll get to the bottom of it.
Toodlepip.
Stop the train!
Superlative work, sister.
So, where to next?
So as you probably picked up, there is a lightness to this series. Yes, they're solving murders, but Sister Boniface is just truly the lead intelligence, along with a diverse and very enjoyable cast. So be sure to check out all 10 episodes of season 1 on BritBox. I stream mine through Amazon Prime, but you can also get it directly through BritBox. Either way, I do think you'll enjoy this cozy mystery series set in the English countryside. I hope you've enjoyed this week's Petit Plaisir, where each week ideas are shared to make the everyday all the more enjoyable. Tune in at the end of each episode where I'll recommend a book, a film, a show, a recipe, anything that is a simple pleasure to satiate your sophisticated taste. And just a note, as I shared last week, I will be traveling to Britain in April. And then in May is the 4th annual British Week. So if you are an Anglophile, be sure to follow me on Instagram and also join me on A Cup of Moments, because I'll definitely be showing exclusive video of my trip with top tier members. And of course, during British Week, all sorts of things British will be shared, savored, and celebrated. And that's always the 3rd full week in May. Before we wrap up today, I wanted to let you know that tomorrow, March 22nd, is the official release day of the third book of The Simply Luxurious Life, called The Road to Le Papillon, Daily Meditations on True Contentment. The ebook that many of you have pre-ordered will be available tomorrow, the 22nd, wherever you order your Kindle or your ebook version. The audiobook as well will be available this week. There are almost, I think, maybe just over 20 hours of listening material because there are 494 pages. And what I love about the ebook option is that all of the illustrations that illustrator Sarah Locker created, all 14 of them, appear in full color in the ebook, whereas in the hardback and paperback, the only illustrations that are in full color are the covers, but those two are available, and the hardback is shipping out at the end of this week, should be arriving at the end of March, early April for those who ordered the hardback in the 1st of March. But the paperback can be arriving at your house in 3 to 4 days, depending on where you live. I want to thank all of the readers who have been ranking and reviewing the book so positively. If you do not have time to write a detailed review, simply giving the star rating means so much because people do notice those reviews. And if you enjoyed it, but you have a very busy schedule, simply giving it that star ranking means so much. Once you have the book, I wanted to let you know to share a pic of a moment that captures true contentment for you. Everyone's will be different. I'm going to be writing a detailed post, including all the pictures that readers send me, either via email or on Instagram. And I'll be sharing that post the week of April 10th. So be sure to capture that and send that my way. I've shared a few on Instagram so far, so you can check those out. It's been so much fun getting this book into your hands, and I am just tickled that you're enjoying it. Again, the book is titled The Road to Le Papillon, Daily Meditations on True Contentment. Thank you to readers for helping it reach #1 on the new release list for France Travels. I'm still pinching myself on that one, but you all made it possible, so thank you. Wishing you a wonderful start to this new season. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll be back on Monday, April 4th, with a brand new episode. Bonne journée. Thank you for tuning in to the Simple Sophisticate podcast, where intelligent living is paired with signature style. For more ideas and inspiration throughout the week, visit the blog The Simply Luxurious Life with the shortened URL tsll.co. For more in-depth exploration of how to cultivate your own unique, simply luxurious life, be sure to pick up my first 2 books. Each are available in hardback, paperback, ebook, and at Audible for audio listening. The first is titled Choosing the Simply Luxurious Life, and the second, Living the Simply Luxurious Life. And look for a third book to be released in the spring of 2022. Readers can now join the more intimate Simply Luxurious Life international community by becoming members of the blog, which provides ad-free unlimited reading and access to exclusive content such as each month's A Cup of Moments video chat, tours of my home, Le Papillon, the regular monthly post, What Made Me Smile, and Saturday Ponderings, as well as the opportunity to enter all of the giveaways during French and British weeks. To stay caught up on all things Simply Luxurious, the podcast, blog post, and the cooking show, as well as receive exclusive news and an extra dose of inspiration to jumpstart your new month, subscribe to the Simply Luxurious Life's free monthly newsletter, which arrives on the last day of each month. And there's a weekly newsletter, a favorite of listeners and readers, which is also free and arrives each Friday to keep you caught up on the recent weekly posts on the blog. Enjoy with a hot cup of tea or a cup of morning coffee and stay in the know about all things simply luxurious. Thank you for tuning in today, and look for 2 new episodes of this podcast each month on the 1st and 3rd Monday. To be alerted to new episodes and when they become available, follow on Instagram, the Simple Sophisticate podcast, and only the news about this show will be shared. Until next time, I'm your host, Shannon Ables. Bonne journée.